like stunning, I like shining, I like $1 million deals. Where's my pen? Bitch, I'm signing. I like those Balenciagas, the ones that look like socks. I like going to the Tula, I put rocks all in my watch. I like texts from my exes when they want a second chance. I like proving niggas wrong, I do what they say I can't. They call me Cardi, Cardi, banging body, spicy mommy, hot tamale, hotter than a Somali. Virgo, Ferrari, hop up the stoop, jump in the coupe, big dip on top of the roof, flexing on bitches as hard as I can, eating halal.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. Forgot we were still set up for Periscope and now we're switching back to YouTube. So how are you doing, Harry?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Excited to be doing our first San Antonio FC, our first show of the season. Gordino in the house with the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable shirt on. I see that.
The shirt and the cap, man.
And the cap.
Thanks for the cap. Thanks for hooking it up.
Yes, thank you for the cap.
Hey, man, real talk. I appreciate everything that you guys do. And you got your Victoria there. Victoria, is that to celebrate your Tigres win? I saw you posting all those videos, man. Tigres is Monterrey, right? We were talking about that earlier with a coworker.
No.
What was that?
Tigres, are they in Monterrey?
Yeah, they're in Monterrey. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, which is the Liga MX club from Nuevo León or around that area?
So Nuevo León is a state. Monterrey is a city.
Okay. I gotcha. All right, then
Is there two teams in Monterrey?
It's Rayados and Tigres.
Rayados. That's the other one I was trying to think of.
Yeah. They share the city, and it's called the Northern Derby, I guess you can call it, between them. So because they're in the northern part of Mexico.
Hey, speaking of derbies,
Santos is also only about an hour and a half from them. So they got a good teams up in the north recently.
But they looked good last night. Santos did.
Yeah, and they're from like a smaller town, right?
They're a smaller. So it's three small towns together.
Gotcha.
And they call it. It's just like a tri-city thing, but it is smaller than Monterrey. And like I said, it's also part of the northern. It's more towards towards El Paso a little bit, but not too close to over there. Okay.
Well, there you go, man. So see. You get a little educated on the some Mexico geography on the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable tonight, but it kind of ties in perfectly to, speaking of derbies, we've got a new cup here in Texas. Harry, do you want to tell everybody who doesn't know yet a little bit about this new competition?
Yeah, so it's a cup that's generated, I guess, by the Crocketeers, but also affiliated with Mission City and 210. I think are also behind it. What was it? I forgot the name of it.
Copa Tejas.
Copa Tejas.
But it's basically between San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, and RGV. It's going to be set up very similar to the Cascadia. 3 points for a win. I think 1 point for a tie. And, of course, you get nothing. So RGV is going to get nothing all year for that here, just like the attendance.
Fingers crossed.
From that. Although I will give the Stampede credit, they seem to be a little bit more active on Twitter, with some of the meme games. So
So I'm talking shit. We're talking shit already. So the point system is going to be based on the games that are played between them, or is going to be based on where they end up at the table generally?
No, only between them, head to head. Yep.
So you can. So let's say a team can actually finish above on the general table, but lose the cup if they don't get results against the other teams.
That's correct. Because and that's to be fair, because who cares?
Yeah.
As a team, you care about how you do league wise, but as supporters, I think one of the first things that they should want would be to win that cup. Just and I know separately that between the Crocketeers and Elber's Army up in Austin, they have the Queso Cup. That's gone all the way back to the Scorpion years. For that there. So I know they'll, between Austin and San Antonio, they'll have something, between those two supporter groups. I'm not sure if Mission City and stuff like that.
Austin Bold?
Austin Bold. And the Austin team. Yeah, because I think was it the Blossoms had it last year? Because they beat, or was it the Blossoms or Athenians had it after beating a team from Austin?
No, I want to say the Blossoms did that last year with like the Round Rock team or something. One of the Austin Lone Star, maybe it would have been in the WPSL, probably. Yeah.
But I know it kind of goes back and forth, and I know what it kind of soured because I know the Scorpions thought, hey, well, we're going to have it, but Austin Aztecs won the only two matches that they played head to head in real competition. Now that goes to Open Cup, so that's one disclaimer on here. If you face an Open Cup time frame, it does not count. It's only the regular season matches. So, but they have
that kind of makes it even, though. You don't want the Open Cup. Like if a couple teams make a deep run and they kind of get an extra game in there or something like that. I get why they eliminate the Open Cup from the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't know who's taking the Open Cup serious as well, because the rosters get so, it's not a true roster. We'll just say.
It's not the starting, a lot of times not the starting 11.
That's true.
Good news. That's good news. Bringing a little bit more, more entertainment to the league here, the Copa Tejas.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be a pretty cool, and I was excited to see the trophy. Looks really nice too. I'm guessing it's going to be the trophy that's in the picture and everything. But yeah, it's a legit. It's not like some little $5 plaque or something, So that'll be pretty cool. But I know we wanted to talk just real quick about a couple things going on in lower league before jumping into San Antonio FC, and we've got all the highlights from the game and everything. And we're going to break down the goals and just kind of take a look at what happened out there at Toyota Field. But first, I know the Corinthians have a tryout coming up for their upcoming UPSL season. I know it's Sunday morning. Harry,
Sunday.
Do you by chance have that in front of you there on your laptop or on social media? I know we've kind of been trying to share it and stuff like that.
I actually don't have anything right now. You said for the Corinthians or for the Corinthians?
For the Corinthians, yes, sir.
Yeah, I actually got a second.
So it's open tryouts, right?
Open tryouts March 17th, 6 p.m. At 999 Shadow Mist in Leon Valley.
Okay.
If you DM them, all you got to do is direct message them on Twitter to sign up here. So I figure between me and Jose, we'll go give it a shot here since
it's free.
Show that there's a fee.
I already started searching.
The only problem is what happens if they sign us? Then we know they're in deep trouble. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's free. It's free, no cost. It's at 6 p.m. So if you think you've got the talent, go out there, guys, and prove yourself. It doesn't cost you anything, so might as well give it a shot.
I think it would be kind of a cool experience to go to. Something that kind of. Just a small world. I was wearing my San Antonio FC Fiesta shirt. We happened to be in one of the malls around here. We went to some store and talked to a guy that he's from Turkey actually, and he's like, "Are you a football coach?" And I was like, "Oh no, nothing like that." But he's been trying out for he tried out for him and his brother have tried out for San Antonio RGV, and he was actually. Working with one of the Bay City Oilers,
Bay Area Oilers.
So I was like, well, hey, I know, Samba, we're good friends with Samba and the runners and stuff like that. But so I thought that was kind of cool, just out and about over here in Houston, and ran into some guy that to malls is like that you have that kind of connection with, where you can kind of talk a little bit. So that was kind of unique, and because I asked him, I was like, well, are you still playing? Because he didn't make it, with the tryouts. He's like, yeah, I'm still giving it a shot. So,
hey, and for any of those kids that don't make it on the Corinthians, I'm thinking about starting a 7-on-7 team over here at Mainland Soccer Complex. So I'm not against getting a couple ringers for that on Monday evenings.
You're gonna need them, Scott. You're gonna need them.
Hell yeah, somebody's got to do the running. 5 minutes, coach.
Also, with that Corinthian news, on Monday, sticking to lower league, Samba announced the re-signing of let me see if I can pronounce this right. Lubomir Bogdanov.
That was the guy that was it second or third team?
UPSL, yeah.
UPSL, and we have John kind of. sent me a message saying, "How could you forget his name?"
Well, yeah, I explained it was the pronunciation, but no, that's on us, man. I should have asked him, and he tried to type out like the phonetic pronunciation, and so when you attempted that right there, Jose, I was like, maybe. I still don't know. I need to hear it.
You just let me out to the ocean, man. Yeah, so they re-signed him on Monday. So, I mean, that's the first signing as far as the men's that I've seen. I don't know if you guys have seen anything else besides that.
No, that is pretty exciting.
The runners have tryouts March 23rd, April 28th, and May 26th that they've announced.
Yeah, that player
as well for the fastest feet in town for them.
That player you just mentioned, I know he played some. It was like first division overseas in Europe and stuff like that. I guess he had 7 goals in 8 games. I want to say it was that he played with Samba, and then he got injured and missed some time. But he should be pretty exciting to watch this season. And we're gonna have to learn how to pronounce his name just to give the young man some respect. But
or give us a nickname, man.
Or a nickname. There you go. There you go. So we'll come up with something there. But I think that kind of, as you mentioned, the runners having some tryouts here coming up pretty soon too on the 23rd. Does it have an address on that there, Harry?
Let me get back over to it. No, it just says at the University of Texas San Antonio. So I'm assuming it's on the practice fields where they play.
Okay, very cool.
Or the intramurals fields, yeah.
Very cool. We were all in our, our new spots here for the 2019 San Antonio FC season there against Phoenix Rising. Jose, you were over there with the new supporter section there in 118. And I got to say, man, before the game even started, seeing 118 filled up, with just everybody was pretty cool.
Yeah, when the game started and we busted out the an old tifo that we have been using since SAFC was announced, and then a second tifo, a new one, was brought out also. So it was 2 tifos, 1 section. I was kind of worried because when the game started, when the first whistle, there didn't seem to be a lot of people in the stadium yet. And I've learned that San Antonio is actually kind of late to.
They're late as fuck, dude. That was the second thing I noticed.
Even to Spurs games and all that. I get to my seat all excited, early, ready. I want to hear the announcements and everything. And I look around. I'm like, oh my goodness, this didn't go as planned. But I mean, people came around. It was just late, I guess. That's how San Antonio has a reputation of being.
Too busy in the tailgating and then having to come in.
It wasn't even that. Man, they were coming in the other entrance too. It's so funny you say that because that was the second thing I was going to say. Aaron mentioned that to me because he was sitting next to me. He's like, man, San Antonio, we're just late everywhere. And sure enough, by about probably the 20th minute, it was packed, but we saw the same thing. And it wasn't just over there on y'all's side where y'all come in, man. It was over there, lines still going out around the building and everything. But
well, I think we made, because we're, I was sitting with Chris and Royce in 114, and we made comments like, man, this is a little bit less than what you thought, for the opener, but it filled out, and like I said here, kudos to San Antonio FC and the sales team there, with
8,058, and that was over 8,000 people for sure.
Yeah, it was a full stadium, no RGB,
the standing numbers, area. No, yeah.
So, it was legit. I think in their weekly release they said it's the 5th largest crowd.
Well,
the key is for them to keep building on that, though. Let's see what the drop is going to be.
It's it was the first home season opener that they've ever had in the history of San Antonio FC, and as Coach Powell said in the interview after the game, I think it was everything that they had kind of imagined it would be. But yeah, it was a pretty magical night, just kind of from the get-go, seeing that. One thing I did kind of want to touch on just before getting into the game that I kind of noticed, and I know it wasn't the supporter section or anything, just because you could hear it from both sides of the pitch, but it sounded kind of like there was a certain chant that had made its way back to Toyota Field around goal kicks. Did you guys hear that at all, like in the stadium where you were?
Yep. I know from my experience being at 118, it was definitely coming from section to the right. 117 area. But yeah, I did hear it a lot.
And I think it was both sides of the field, even when after halftime and stuff like that. It wasn't quite as loud. But what's so crazy is I think sometimes the supporters get a bad rap because people think it's that section chanting it. And it's like, usually in that, it's not, well, because in that section you police each other. You know what I mean? Like in the rest of the stadium, who really says anything or, does anything? But really and truly in that section, everybody kind of is holding each other accountable and stuff like that to behave properly and everything else. But I just kind of noticed that. I hadn't really heard that lately. I don't know if that's going to make a comeback.
I think it's just
season opener, a lot of new people. You didn't used to really. It kind of died out last season. Like I say, we don't need to jump into all the discussion of this, but I
think it was a fired up crowd with Flop City, happening and Asante,
almost died.
He's probably still rolling around, back to Phoenix. And it wasn't just him, John, the big old flopper as well. Mm-hmm. But to me, it was a very engaged crowd. Whenever Asante got the ball, he heard it.
After that flop, yeah, I only started.
The whole for the next 60 minutes he got booed
from 24, 30. I think it was 24, 25th minute.
Yeah.
Where that or no, it was 26th minute because the 23 minutes was Fleming's where he kind of went down and then it was on from there for Flop City. But
yeah, that was hilarious. I've never heard someone do
crowd.
An engaged and smart crowd, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, smart soccer crowd.
But I guess here's kind of the question, because I know Mexico, Liga MX, it's more of a common phrase down there. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but it's more accepted. And I know San Antonio FC is trying to attract more of that crowd. So if you're attracting that crowd and that's how they interact in their games,
as far as the chant, you mean?
Yeah, as far as the chant.
For the second that, you were talking about the flopping.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Probably both, but I was more talking about the chant. More talking about the chant because that's more accepted, in Mexico, and
mm-hmm.
I'm not in a position to say, hey, it's right or wrong.
No, but still.
Different meanings. I know something that FIFA's came down and said, hey, they don't want to have happen, and I know San Antonio doesn't want to have happen.
Right.
But it's one of those, to me, it's one of those, one of those things that, do you want to have those fans at the game?
Of course.
Even though you may have that strike against them, or, and that's kind of the balance that I think San Antonio has to walk on this.
Yeah, but I think
you're probably gonna see announcements before the game and stuff like that now.
And that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, because I think a lot of it too was probably a pretty new crowd. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think you had probably maybe a little bit mix of people because it was the first season opener and everything. And at those matches, you tend to get some of the people that for the first time are going to go to a game because of the tailgates that are going on and everything versus like mid-season when it's usually your season ticket holders and stuff. So. I don't know, man. Hopefully it doesn't make a huge comeback. And like I say, we don't need to get into the whole semantics of it because people have debated it back and forth. But it was one thing I noticed, that I hadn't really even heard at Toyota Field in a long time. But it was an energetic crowd, that's for sure, man. There was a different energy in the atmosphere. And it didn't really take long for that to pay off.
So before we get started here, Scott, you had a different view. How was it setting in the press area compared to 118 or down on the field level? How's that experience different for you? For you?
I saw the game.
He remembers the game.
No. It is really cool seeing it from that angle. I feel like you really get a better view of just kind of plays and spacing and what's going on out there on the pitch. I loved my view though, because I used to see pictures that Kyle would post and stuff like that, and that second tier 50-yard line first row, was always just kind of that perfect overview. But I tell you what, being there like where you're at in 114 or being over there in 118 where you're just like right up against the pitch and everything, and when they're coming at you, you're seeing their footwork and you see the step over in the Meg, and I mean that's pretty special in my opinion to just see it that close. So it's pretty cool like at a tactical level, but as far as like atmosphere and just environment and everything, I miss sitting down there in the front and just kind of seeing everything right there.
Yeah, because once you're down there at the bottom, once they cross half-yard line to the other side, you have to look back to the screen and see what's going on. Yep. So you're chanting and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're watching. I mean, when you're over there in 118, you're now. Yeah, when smoke's going off and stuff like that, you can't see everything, But when it's right there at you, man, you see exactly what's going on. But it was cool to see a little bit more overview. Like I say, you could see that 4-4-2 that they were really running with Billy and stuff like that, and how much they had him thrown up there, and they weren't even trying to hide it. And like I say, I think Pirano helps out with that a lot, just because he's a workhorse and he's fast.
Yeah.
And
so let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Okay. So like I said, you had that kind of first Guzman goal there from that Lance Lang cross. So we're gonna show you guys just that first clip real quick here. And 9 minutes in, basically, Lance Lang to Guzman, and Guzman's just so good at creating space inside the 6 like that. I mean, able to just separate himself from his defender. So dangerous there in the box. As I kind of mentioned in the article, I think 15 chances for San Antonio FC inside the box, which to me is huge because those are chances you should convert.
On that specific goal, if you watch Guzman as Lance is developing the play on the side, you see him cut in front of the defender, cut behind him, and then at the last second when Lance is about to hit the ball to the cross, he cuts back in front of the defender, and the defender kind of like loses him. So that's where Guzman does real good inside the box. He's a deadly poacher as you may want to refer to him.
And that's the second one he had in the first 10 minutes. I know the first one was offsides.
Yeah.
On there, but it was from my seat, in 114, they both looked very similar. With the exception that he stayed on side. I still contend maybe the first goal I would have liked to seen a better angle to see if he was really offsides, on the kick. I couldn't see a good angle when I was trying to watch it through, but those are the breaks of the game. But I thought it was outstanding. And Carl Leminski's a great goaltender, and to be able to get 2 by him, I know only 1 counted, but in the first 10 minutes, to me, set a big tone as far as especially with Chino and the offense, going down that side.
Well, that's what you want to see, right? You want to see Chino getting involved. I know there's a lot of people that want to see Chino getting involved. And I think, too, that's where, Kyle posted an article earlier today about just how dangerous this San Antonio offense is. And, to all the people that when Billy kind of sputtered out and everything, we've talked about it on this show before, back before he went to Phoenix. I mean, we were really a single threat team at the time. And now we're not a dual threat team. We're a triple and quadruple threat team with, you see how well Barmby played and how dangerous, he was able to get. And you've got Pirano that, even some guys that didn't really get on the board that created some chances, and even Didic on that one corner. He had that header that, I mean, it just barely went over top of the goal. And I mean, I have a feeling he's going to be a center back, almost like a Sip, where he's going to probably head some in. So,
I think he'll have at least 3 goals this year. I think he's got that skill, because I think as Kyle's article mentioned on calledoffsides.com, is there's going to be a lot of options going forward this year. Unlike last year, or 2 years ago when Billy was here, and even last year with Chino, it was 3-4 games in before they really discovered where he was. Because I remember the complaints at the start of last season is, hey, why aren't we getting him the ball? At least this season, at least game 1. They got him the ball, and he delivered.
Yeah, he delivered. I mean, that's for sure. What did you guys think kind of over there in 118 whenever he scored that first goal, Jose? Were you guys able to kind of see, not the offside one, because I do feel like sitting up there in the booth, it looked obvious to me. Now, I didn't necessarily see right where he was at whenever the original kick was taken, but based upon just, where he was standing at the time of the rebound, you could kind of probably guess that he was off. But what did you guys think of that first goal that he ended up scoring, Jose?
I mean, it's Chano, so everybody got excited. He's a fan favorite. On that first goal, actually, a funny story real quick. On the offsides goal, we had a misfire in the smoke. Somebody got too excited too quickly and dropped one of those smokes in the canister, and it was offside. And we're like, oh man, that kind of sucks.
Premature.
Premature discharge. But yeah, Cheno's a favorite guy, so anytime he scores, you're gonna see everybody get riled up. A lot of beer, let's say, a lot of beer was flying.
Somebody got Billy with a beer shower, didn't they? Was that Royce over there,
That
Harry?
was Royce. Yeah, he was sitting back in row 2, and that was kind of the cool thing, about that goal. And I don't know if you watched the YouTube video, but you'll see Anna in her Athenian shirt, me, and then AJ, and then all of a sudden you share the boy, Royce or somebody behind or around Royce, we'll just say, released half a beverage, we'll say.
Beer showers.
No, it was awesome.
Beer showers.
Yeah, it is. Well, you got to be careful because I think there was one player with LAFC that didn't like it due to, I think it was his religion or something along those lines.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure the players don't really like getting beer showered.
But yeah, so I think that was kind of a shock over at 114 where where there was some fluids flowing as opposed to 118 where it's more commonly known, which is awesome. It tells you that the atmosphere is spreading throughout the stadium.
Yeah.
Before we take a look at Billy's goal, unfortunately, we're going to have to take a look. It wasn't long before Phoenix was able to tie it up 1-1.
Coach Billy Forbes named man of the match. How much
of
an adjustment has it been this
a slide tackle,
on the right side of the pitch?
Cardoni just kind of mishandles this one, tries to get his body in front of it, can't really get his body in front of it, and the ball almost just kind of spins off of him and back into the net.
Does he try to catch it, or what do you think he tries to do, or kind of like?
Oh yeah, he's trying to handle it, and scoop it. I think was what he was trying to do, was just kind of handle it, and scoop it. But you can see the spin on the ball and the way that slide tackle comes in, and I mean it just spins right off his body as it kind of goes up.
It was almost like a curveball how he acted on it.
Yeah,
or a knuckleball probably a little bit more where.
Well, and it's got to be tough in that situation too, though, because, as a keeper, when do you want to come out? When do you want to stay back there on your line? Because back there on your line, you're not really going to be able to do much. But his defender was right there, and they both slid. So, Cardoni can't really slide out into his defender like that. So I think he just kind of couldn't get his body in front of it. I don't know if maybe diving, and I don't know. I bet he wishes he could have that one back.
Well, you're a goaltender. And not to call him out, but at least looking at it on video and close up, it looks like it's a clear error by him. Would you not agree?
I wouldn't say it's a clear error by him because he does make an attempt on it and everything to try and scoop it and get his body in front of it. All the things that you want to do
but
as a keeper.
If you get your hands on it, because it wasn't a rocket shot, and I'm not trying to take blame, but. To me, it's like football. If you get your hands on it, you should be able to catch it or deflect it along those lines. Is that not kind of the same thing with goalkeeping?
I think he should have stopped
it a little bit more.
I think he should have stopped it. Like I say, I think he wishes he could have that one back. I think he probably blames himself a little bit on that one. Like I said, you can't really fault the defender. He's right there with the forward on that. But the only thing I can say on that is the spin of that ball and the way it comes off of him. I have a feeling it was just tough to handle, and he just kind of bobbled it. And I mean, that's that. And unfortunately, it resulted in a goal. And yeah, he's probably gonna wish, like I say, he could have that one back. But
I know listening to Rising is One podcast out of Phoenix, and they thought that Fleming shot it faster than what Cardoni was actually looking for. Because where the position of the defender was. So I think he was
surprised him a little bit.
They were thinking he was caught a little bit off guard by just how quick that shot came out.
Yeah, you really want to get your body in front of that. Maybe if he had dove, like I say, instead of trying to slide over and scoop it, because he kind of steps to the side, which that's going to take you more time. Diego, that was one of the things. He's such a small keeper that to drop down on shots like that, that's usually where your shorter keepers kind of excel, or like that height right there, because they can just drop down. Cardoni's probably 6'4", 6'3", something like that.
6'4".
So for him to get down, it's going to take a lot longer. So, typically where you want to shoot on a tall goalie like that is going to be right where he placed that ball, because it's going to be the toughest shot for them to stop.
But, and Junior Fleming did it. He put it on frame, and that's what you do. That's why you play the forward position, and he took the shot, and it was one that got by, and Phoenix is a good team. It was a well-earned goal on their part. I think we could have stopped it, as you mentioned here. But as we saw, San Antonio rebounded well.
Yeah, what was the energy, Jose, like? I'm kind of curious, man, because it was almost, I don't know, it wasn't back to back. It was what, like the 35th minute or something like that they scored that?
So Channel scores the ninth at the ninth minute. This tie comes on the 21st minute.
21st, okay.
Yeah.
The next goals is the one that, with Forbes at 39.
Yeah,
I think they answer immediately back within 2-3 minutes. To me, that's the one that hurts, and that's the one that instead of going in at half at 2-1, they go in at 2-2, which is a completely different game.
Yeah, I don't think it affected that energy that much because still 21st minute, there's still so much game to be left to be played. So I mean, you kind of bummed, but you got to keep going. And like Harry says, Billy comes in at the 39th with. What's that phrase? Billy doing Billy or what?
Billy being Billy.
Billy being Billy.
Yep. Takes that defender on the right hand side and he cuts in, and he hits it with that left of his, and it's a beautiful shot. It's a strong shot that beats the keeper. So, and of course going crazy.
Dude, it beats him near post. I mean, you talk about it. Yeah, just beat that defender 1-on-1, took it himself. And yeah, that left footer and beats the keeper near post, just upper 90. That's the type of shooting that he's capable of. And, I was talking to Chris Hawkman about that earlier this week and just kind of how his accuracy, it seems like, has improved since before he played in San Antonio and how much that's gotten better.
Maybe he did learn something from Drogba.
Hey, that finish right there, man, that was nice. Yeah, that was a great finish.
Well, I think Scott mentioned something earlier that I think is a key point that I haven't really thought about is Billy doesn't have to be the guy this year. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a little bit different from 2016 with the experience that he got with Phoenix last year, to where all the pressure isn't on him. He's got Lance Lang, on the other side, who to me is just as good as he is. Especially on creating chances. So I'm wondering with him if I know we talk about his accuracy. I wonder if he may have fewer attempts, but the attempts that he's going to have is a lot more better quality than what he used to have, just because he felt
especially with
had to do it.
Especially with defenders having to worry about Lance Lang also and about Chano Guzman also. So it's not just going to be everybody on Billy or concentrating on him. So he's definitely going to have great shots this year to score. So I see that as a positive moving forward.
Oh, I agree, definitely. And then he's also got Lance Lang kind of feeding him the ball. So that always helps. But after that, then we had Phoenix again, just kind of come right back. And just this is where I think the defense, you can tell it's a new defensive line. I think there were a lot of just miscommunications, and this is one of those perfect examples where you can see Yaro kind of go inside versus taking that defender outside after Pirano makes that initial tackle. You got Didic that kind of just gets hung up in the middle, and his man is able to kind of sneak in behind him. The ball goes through Didic's legs. I mean, this was just kind of a collapse where I think it's just because they're still new. I think the defenders played pretty well when it came to more of the one-on-one situations, but I think where you really kind of saw them struggle was in their communication. And that's why I said kind of what I did about Cardoni just having to get more vocal, because you could see, like in that instance right there, nobody's telling Yaro to mark up on this guy moving over here to the right. Cardoni, nobody's telling her. Maybe he is, and they're just not listening, but, you should be telling Didic right there, hey, that guy's sneaking behind you, goal side. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you heard that, Harry, on that goal. Obviously, we don't have audio from.
No, that was on the Beer Garden side.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. So, but I mean, that's just one of those things where they're going to have to communicate with each other to know who's marking up and who's got who on that, because that was just a total breakdown, I think.
But that's why I thought this game was going to be high scoring, because
that you did call that.
That's a good point.
You've got two elite offenses, and both defenses, both for Phoenix and San Antonio, are relatively new. The goaltenders, Cardoni, I know he's quote unquote the new starter, but realistically, he was 1A, 1B last year, and at the end of the season, he started and for that here. So I don't really consider him brand new, but to me, the back lines on both sides was going to struggle just because they're going against such good offensive talent. So. I know, to me, like I said, that's why, when you guys were saying 2-0, 2-1,
3-1.
To me, it just, it was just, there was going to be goals in this game. So, and we saw that, and some were forced, some were unforced, and that's what happens in the first game of the year.
Mm-hmm. I think this one was a bummer because it happened right before halftime. You could have gone into the locker room up 2-1. It would have changed out the way you come out of the locker room also, as far as tactics wise, but kind of hurt, and it was kind of a preview of what was up to come. Defensive mistakes, not mentally there. I think this goal was, I don't want to say more important than the third Phoenix one, but probably just as important because it drained. You can hear the crowd when they were just like when you let the air out of a brand new beer, just kind of
out of a brand new Lone Star. Hold that up there for us, Jose.
Victoria today, but
we got to get our sponsor money in.
You can hear
Lone Star right here.
No, that one it was tough, to see that one go in, and but I think they're gonna close down on those types of errors. I mean, the good thing is that's the type of thing that you can change. That's the type of thing that hopefully we don't see, consistently throughout the season. Because, like I say, I think this back line has a lot of talent, and I think they're gonna do a pretty good job. But
Yep.
What do you guys think, kind of before we get into the own goal, obviously, off the corner kick? I mean, the second half, what did you think of San Antonio FC kind of versus the first half, Jose?
I saw them. I didn't see them that much free-flowing. It was more of they came out a little bit, I want to say like not restricted. How do you say, like more governed, I guess?
Conservative.
Yeah, conservative. It wasn't like the first half, man. They were flying and running, ball was flowing everywhere. And the second half, I guess they, I mean, and with good reason, because Phoenix, as they proved, is a dangerous team, a very offensively powerful team as far as USL wise, and I'm guessing Darren didn't want to lose the shape of the team in the second half, so that's why it was more of a control play. The second half.
What about you, Harry?
I thought it was more where the team settled in. You kind of got into that rhythm. Okay, because the first half, if you really look at it, this is probably this is the first real meaningful action that San Antonio's had, and really, I know preseason kind of matters a little bit, but it's a different intensity going from preseason friendlies to to the regular season, especially against Phoenix, which is an important match. So, but I think both teams kind of settled in, played their games a little bit, and I still think San Antonio held their own, and they had some chances. I think Guzman missed a clear shot, if memory serves me correct,
right before the corner. Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. That he should have finished.
We scored on it.
Yeah, but it's still those chances that you got to be able to do, and you're gonna you're gonna miss shots, but. It was a heavyweight match where each team took a shot and the other team responded, and the defenses kind of picked it up, and and then we had the corner, and it was a well placed corner, and we got the goal at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty even. Just kind of looking at the stat sheet or whatever as far as offensively goes. 8 shots in the first half, 4 of them on target. 11 shots in the second half, 3 of them on target. So, maybe a little bit of accuracy issues, kind of as you mentioned there in the second half. A couple chances that they could have probably finished. Like I say, I know Didic had that one off that corner that, I mean, it looked clear as day. He saw it come in and headed it, good contact, and it just went right over the post. And
didn't they hit a crossbar or 2 crossbars? I know there was a couple of them that were super close that
might have nicked it.
That to me, any other day probably went in, and this one it just it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I thought San Antonio, going against who I think is going to be the best team in the West. I've made no secret that I think Phoenix is going to be the clear runaway in the West. I think they went toe-to-toe with them and showed them that, unlike last year, you can see the potential and the promise in this team. There's no questions. To me, already after week 1, you have an identity of the team. In my opinion, you know that they're going to, and Kyle put it out there, they're going to score goals this year. They're going to play a more aggressive through there. The defense, if you're thinking this is going to be, 2017 with Sebastian Ibaga in that defense, it's not. I think they're going to be winning more, 3-2, 4-3 along those lines this year. I think you've already got that identity. I think with Coach Marcina, between him and Coach Powell, they've kind of brought in a more attacking style. And, I think you're going to see more games like this to where, even when they're playing, I don't want to say they played poorly, but, even when they're not scoring or, just kind of, go slugging through the second half, it was still an entertaining match to watch.
Yeah, I hope we don't see too many more games like this as far as defensively is concerned, because I think that they can tighten down on a lot of that stuff still, where I think this defense is better than 3 goals a game against them or 2 goals a game against them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's not going to be Sebastian Ibaga, obviously, but like I say, I think Didic is going to step in and fill in well. I think Green is looking pretty good. I think Yaro's playing well. And we really didn't see too much out of what is it? Acro. So, we'll wait and see. As you said, though, I definitely think their identity is an offensive team. And we've talked, week in and week out about the league changing and it being more of an offensive league where if you can't put up 3 every week, you better worry. So hopefully we're holding them to 1. Because I think like this game against Phoenix, that was one of those matches where you wanted that second goal lead, because you knew kind of the last 10, 15 minutes of the match, if it weren't for that own goal that we got off that corner, we very easily could have lost that game, because you felt like that extra time minute goal was coming from Phoenix. It kept feeling like that. What did you think, Jose, just kind of heading into the final minutes?
Yeah, I know. I along with several other there in 118, we were still chanting, but we were still kind of worried. I kept, I believe, who was it? Was it Miguel I was talking to? I don't remember who it was, but I kept grabbing onto his shirt every time Phoenix would have some sort of offensive play. I would grab onto his shirt and kind of let out a little yell there that wasn't part of the chant. But I mean, moving forward to that goal, it was heartbreaking, man. 30 minutes, another an ex SAFC player, Jason Johnson.
Yeah, and kind of a weird one, right? I mean,
it was, so it was like a left cross that overcrossed, and they recrossed it from the right side, and Jason Johnson was left all alone to catch Cardonia on his coming over to the first post, and he went ahead and hit it over to the second post. And I think, man, I don't know if you got the feeling that Didic kind of bothered him there a little bit, kind of pushed off of him, maybe. I'm not sure, but or Cardonia overcommitted. I don't know, man. But it was a weird goal, and Jason Johnson couldn't score for us, but scores against us.
What did you think, Harry? That was that one was over there on y'all's section there.
That was right in front of us, and
that was right in front of you.
Yeah.
It was right in front. It was a scramble play. It was a scramble play, and
it was.
Jason Johnson's known for that. It's he's got that history with Phoenix, and I wasn't shocked. In fact, I was actually a little bit more worried after they scored that goal. They almost got another one on the second trip right back down, which instead of walking away with a tie, we almost walked away with a loss.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to ask you guys. And that's because that's what, everybody was talking about after the match, about how it was like a tie that almost felt like a loss. And I kind of, like I say, just the last 10 minutes and all those scares and, Billy trying to run out like the last 7 minutes of the game down there in the corner. To me, it was almost a tie that felt like a win because, like I say, We'll show that third corner kick goal, which, I thought it was interesting. Powell switched to Barmby on the kick taking because Lang kind of was the one doing it there in the first half, and then he switched, which it paid off. I mean, it was a beautiful corner.
Good.
Obviously, it was an own goal, but it was a beautiful corner kick and pretty dangerous. But without having that own goal there, it's 2-2 with the last 10 minutes. I think Phoenix definitely was the more dangerous opponent.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel like, Harry, after the game? Were you thinking more tie that felt like a win or tie that felt like a loss?
No, it was a missed opportunity. Anytime you're up three times ahead, and I know it's against Phoenix. Anytime you're ahead of a team 3 times and you give it back 3 times, you've got to think, especially going back to that first goal, where we gave one. And I know they kind of gave one back with the John own goal.
Mm-hmm.
But to lose right at the death like that is.
And that's what I don't get, though. Everybody talks about going up 3 times on them and losing that lead 3 times. But when you're playing soccer, man, it's 0-0 every kickoff. At halftime, it's 0-0. If it's 1-0, it's 0-0. I mean, you can have the lead 3 times, but when you only have a 1-goal lead, it only takes 1 goal for them to tie it back up. Had they had like a 3-goal lead and Phoenix came back and scored 3 on them, I could see where you'd be like, damn, how do you give up that game? But when you're up 1-0, that's nothing, man. They can come right back just like they did. And then so I guess I just don't get, like, to me, who cares if you're up?
It was a fair result, though. Like,
it was a fair result.
I think both teams got what they deserved. Would I have loved as a San Antonio fan to come out with the 3 points? Sure, but to get that point in the first game with the brand new back line, and especially knowing that we got Timbers 2 coming up. I think the opportunity is still to get the 4 points on this opening homestand.
Weekends, sure.
And to me, if you can get 4 points out of 2 games at home, and especially the first week's going against 2 playoff teams from last year, you're going to take it. And I know Timbers 2 tied Tulsa on the road last week. But I won't be there. I'll be watching it here in Houston, but I think it's I didn't walk out unhappy. I didn't think that we lost it. I think we gave away a couple of points. If I had to flip a coin, I would say it was more, hey, we gave away 2 points because we had the lead 3 times. But if you told me, hey, we're going to walk out of there before the match 3-3, would I have took it? Yes.
Gotcha. And that's fair. And I guess that's why they have ties, right? Because I feel like it was a fair result. Before we get into any of the Defiance talk and all that good stuff, Thomas had a question for us. Timbers. I'm sorry, not Defiance yet.
Defiance already defeated RGV. Thank you.
Right. They did us a favor. But Thomas was curious. He said, do you think Coach is going to switch up lineups like he did last year?
No.
I think we've kind of talked about that a little bit. Jose, what are your feelings?
Unless we have injuries or drop in a form of certain players, I think he's going to continue to stick to the same lineup. I know you have do you have that voice clip of Coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
He does mention that. Oh man, I blanked out.
I can play it real quick, man. If you want, I got it right here. Actually, that's perfect. Yeah. So it's funny you say that, Thomas. That was actually one of the questions that I was talking to Coach Powell about after the match. I think I should just be able to open this, and you guys should be able to hear it. So let me just pull it up real quick and push play.
Coach Billy Forbes named man of the match. How much of an adjustment has it been this offseason, him playing on the right side of the pitch?
Look, we get to see these guys every day in practice, and nothing is necessarily putting them in position. These guys are so competitive in that locker room every week that it makes it very difficult for the coaching staff to select players. But Billy adds an element on the right-hand side, he adds an element on the left-hand side. So we just have to assess what we think are good matchups from week to week. And the players' job then is to go out there and perform to the best of their capabilities. And what we're seeing, not only Billy but throughout the team, these guys compete every single day, which I think is very important. And we'll continue to maintain that.
So, I mean, there you kind of hear it from Coach Powell. Players competing, every day, week in and week out. Yeah, that one was kind of more in regards to Billy more specifically. But I feel like we do have a pretty solid starting 11. But, he says there that just kind of based upon the matchups and what they're seeing out there at practice, we may see some changes. I mean, he almost says the opposite.
Yeah,
I don't think we will. And the reason why I say that is if you go back to preseason of this year, he played a pretty consistent lineup where you compare to years past, there was always some sort of rotation of, fluctuation in between the playoff players.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's been pretty cut and dry outside of injuries. And to me, I guess the one key is if you're going to go more Pirano or more LaHood. I think those are the two players that you'll kind of see, flip back and forth if you want to go more offensively or more defensively. One thing that we did miss, unfortunately, Ethan Bryant was on the injury list already. I'm not sure, any word on that, but so that was the one negative that I kind of saw, going in as far as for player news, is that Ethan Bryant was on the list, and I think it was with a lower body injury, if memory serves me right. So that could be anywhere from the toe to the hip.
Mm-hmm. I think we will see some changes depending on player physical, like maybe resting depending who you're playing. Like again, tactics wise, if more down the line, you'll see who the weaker teams and that is, and you'll decide whether does Cheno need rest. He's an older player.
That's a good point.
Lang is an older player. Especially when you have those Saturday games.
Or you throw in some Open Cup matches and stuff like that. Obviously, that's going to be a time. But I also look back to see throughout the season, because I know Coach Powell is pretty smart, and everything that he does, he's played against a lot of these guys before, and you're not gonna see all the tricks up his sleeve.
Is there no sound? Thomas says no sound.
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about us right now because it looks like there should be, or if he's talking about he couldn't hear the interview whenever we played it. But my apologies if you couldn't, Thomas. It was our first time kind of doing the interview thing, so I'll post the interview with Coach Powell up after the show. He said it's back now.
So basically, what's the question that you ask him?
So I was just asking him about Billy. Just asking him, how Billy's been adjusting to playing on the right side of the pitch, and Coach Powell just answered, said that he's done a good job playing on the right. He does a good job playing on the left, and they just kind of take a look at the matchups week in and week out, and they probably will make some adjustments just based upon what they see in practice and guys competing and what they see in potential matchups out there on the field. So I'll post that clip after the show here shortly, Thomas, but my apologies on that feedback, man. I know it's not fun to hear that in your ear, so I thought that would work, but we'll get that straightened out.
Catch it on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll fix it on the that's
Google Play.
That's why you listen on the podcast.
So you listen after. Yeah, so that was the first game, guys. The first game, there was fireworks after.
Fireworks.
There was a leftover tailgate beer after.
Was it still cold?
It was still cold.
Help nurse some of those wounds.
It was dollar beer night, so I didn't need that much beer after.
That's true. And it's dollar beer night again.
Dollar beer night again, right?
Yeah,
green beer, right?
Green dollar beers. Yeah, speaking of this week, let's kind of wrap things up. Harry, I know you got to get back to some fishing and all that stuff. But we got the Timbers, not Tacoma. Timbers, the other T team, coming up this weekend. What are your thoughts on the Timbers, Harry, and just kind of this matchup?
I expect them to beat them pretty convincingly, actually.
Okay.
Score-wise or play-wise?
Both.
Because
I think if you were to look at the Phoenix Rising and San Antonio match, you would have walked away with San Antonio being the better team. in my opinion. Timbers 2 beat SIP and AJ's Tulsa Roughnecks, who'll be improved. And of course, as we know, Tulsa had our number last year. But season series between San Antonio and Portland's 3-1-1 as far as for that here. But I think with the offensive firepower that we have, I think the defense will be much improved week 2 from week 1, or better be improved from week 2 to week 1. I think you're going to see some of those communication skills, the breakdowns that happened last week probably won't happen this week. I still expect a fired up, a fairly large crowd, especially being St. Patty's Day, $1 beer.
Wear that green.
I think that, I won't be there. I'm going to go to the Dynamo. I got tickets with, for AJ to go to the Dynamo game. So
sit up
over everything except the Dynamo.
Except the Dynamo.
Except the Dynamo.
Matt with you.
Huh?
Matt.
We got a huge Dynamo fan.
He's a Dynamo fan. I don't know much about. I didn't really see the Timbers game, so I'm not too sure how they're doing this year. I know last year they were
1-1 against Tulsa.
Tulsa
scored first, and they came back to equal in the 55th.
I don't know. Last year they were a surprising team as far as where they ended up at the end of the season. So if they're continuing to improve, that's going to be a tough matchup. But it's going to be a cool night. It's going to be in the 50s, so it won't be too hot yet in Toyota. So where I think SAFC put out some St. Patrick's Day green shirts out there. So
yes, I saw that.
You can go out and buy that and continue to wear the day after when you wake up hangover after a win.
St. Patty's Day is actually Sunday though, right?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
So aren't you guys doing like a party bus?
Keep on wearing that shirt. Keep drinking. You don't get hungover if you keep drinking.
The hair of the dog. The hair of the dog.
Celebrate a victory. I'm hoping for an SAFC victory. I don't see why they shouldn't if they come out and play the same as they did this week. So
I think it'll be 3-1.
Hey, I'm good with 3-1 as well. It's going to be my guess as well. Like I say, I think the back line is going to tighten up a little bit. Still probably make an error or two. Hopefully Cardone plays a little better. That's where I think you really want to see him step up. And what separates kind of your average goalkeeper from like a top goalkeeper is when they can save your ass when your defense messes up. So I know he had a nice save that was nominated for Save of the Week. And that's what you want to see him doing kind of is stepping up and just being that guy that, when the back line has a mental error, collapses, can make a save. So,
how long of a leash do you think Cardone has?
Oh, I think he has a good one right now. I mean, mid-season at least. I don't think you'll see, unless he just starts. I mean, if they start giving up 3 goals a game, sure. But if he starts playing the way that I think he's capable of playing, and then yeah, I don't think that's even a consideration right now. I would say probably at least 4 games into the season before you'd want to do something like just swap keepers and start that controversy all over again. Unless, like I say, if they give up 3 goals these next 3 games, then yeah, I could see,
Well, you got to remember the 4th game is Austin and Diego.
That's true. Well, maybe not but I could see it happening a lot earlier. I'm not giving specific weeks here, but yeah, exactly. So
that one would be that one's going to be an interesting.
That is good. I didn't even think about that. So
week
4. That's right. All right. Well, let's get into our final thoughts, gentlemen, and I'll start with you, Jose.
I just want to ask a big favor from I don't know if Preston listens to this or Luis Leiva. I saw 2 plays that I have not seen. One of them that for some reason the camera did not catch it as a game after I rewatched it on ESPN Plus, $4.99. After I rewatched it, for some reason the camera was focused in on a player as the play was still going on. And that was a Cristian Parano Elastica on the right-hand side in the first half, which was an amazing. It was right in front of 118, where he did that Ronaldinho, the where he puts his foot out and brings the ball in.
Cuts it back. Yeah.
He did it with his left foot. He cut it in and cuts it back, and was able to get a cross in. And then another one was also in the first half. It was on Harry's side. Cheno de la Rabona as he put in a cross, which is the one where you put the foot behind it and kind of hit it up. If anybody can get any highlights, especially Cheno's the one that I want to see that on a GIF. If you can, guys, please. That's my closing.
That's it.
That's it.
Hey,
Hey, why don't
Louise
you
Preston, if you're watching, can you send me a GIF of those badass?
You up, man.
Well, I know they could probably do the channel one because that one is
The
showing
camera caught it?
Yeah, the camera caught it. But as far as the Christian, the camera that was being shown on TV
On the broadcast.
I don't know if they have extra footage on the side.
Did you capture? What minute was it? Do we have a minute mark that they can go back to?
I can go back and look it up, but I'll get you those details, guys. And if you can do that, I'm happy.
All right, that's it. That's all it takes. So we don't ask for much here on the roundtable.
Nothing specific, no. But
No.
so I have two final thoughts. One's kind of non-San Antonio related, and the other one is family related here. I want to give a shout out to Mexico United and El Paso. Both sellouts, 12,000 I think in New Mexico, and I think 9,000 or something like that in El Paso. So shout out to them, being able to come in and pull in great crowds and hope to see that. And instead of playing in baseball fields, I already tweeted this out, but it would be awesome if they could join the ranks of soccer specific stadiums. And I know each city's got it in the works, and it'll take time, but to me, very strong impressions, especially from the supporters on each side, the Curse and Eighth Notch for El Paso and New Mexico. So kudos to that.
Real quick, that one, Harry, I believe they mentioned something. The USL mentioned that it was the biggest turnout for an opening weekend, something
That's
like that.
awesome.
Yes.
And that's with, if you think back when Cincy was drawing 30 by themselves. So is it more teams or what?
Well, it's a little bit of that, but since he never opened at home on opening weekend, so to be fair, because I sent out a cheeky tweet, saying, "Hey, we weren't supposed to be doing this without
I see.
Here as well."
But, I was thinking, I'm like, wow, I guess a lot of these teams improved.
But on the flip side, you also lost Toronto too, who draws worse than Los Dos, who had 600 people at their match against Colorado Springs. Watching them get waxed 4-1, 5-1, something along those lines.
So kudos to the league overall, I guess, for
kudos to the league.
having a record opening year.
And
the second shout out, is to Royce and Susie. Hope you guys are feeling better. I know we were going to try to have Royce on, tonight, but family issues popped up. So hope all is well, and like I said here, we'll see. I won't see you Saturday, but. You have my seat, so you better be bringing somebody on Saturday.
You just want
beer showers.
Harry just wants whatever they're going to give out, so it looks like he was at the match. I know Harry. I know what you're doing.
I'm still going to do the check-in because as soon as hey Royce, were you there? Checked in.
Oh, yeah, it's not GPS on your phone?
I'm going to try it.
No, it's GPS on your phone. You're going to have to location spoof to get the check-in. Yeah. I think so, but we'll see. If you need a good location spoofer, let me know.
I'm going to give
it a shot. Freaking Harry always.
Well, hopefully Preston and Louis ain't listening to this.
So my final thoughts, I know MCF doing a beer gate out there under Thousand Oaks Bridge on a Saturday. Crocketeers said they're going to have some food out there. So if you're going to go out there to the game, show up early. Come meet some people. I know the Crocketeers have a really good time. Go check out Mission City Firm or 210 Alliance. Those guys are really cool to get to know. And I would just encourage, if you're going to the match, don't tailgate by yourself. Go come have fun, and a lot of it's open to the public.
Hey, who does the barbecue pit for you guys for 118?
Miguel Martinez.
Miguel, so shout out to Miguel, like the tacos, the sausage were outstanding. Warren and the gang with the Crocketeers. I think they wrapped I think he said 400 brisket tacos, and they were all gone. It was as a big guy, the food was awesome.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, guys. Yeah, thank you, Miguel. Thank you, all the pit masters, and seriously, everybody, MCF, Crocketeers that put all that stuff on. Go out there and meet the guys and have some fun, because it's a really good time out there before the game to get to know everybody and just kind of feel a part of the community and everything else. So. As always, this is the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. Harry, Jose, thank you again. Good night. We out.